consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spots that activate your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Hi, my loves. I can't wait for this juicy episode to deliver it to you, where we are going to dive in deeper in this global energetic sacred container about money. I want you to be feeling into all the moneygasm. Yes, that's right. I did say moneygasm. Moneygasm vibes by the end of this episode. Money is one of the most challenging and taboo topics that we as humans face. It's uncomfortable to be asking how much we make. It's uncomfortable to be talking about it. It's uncomfortable to have money conversations, and particularly with our intimate partners. We have a lot of beliefs and stories about money that keep us being held back. So I'm going to share some examples with you about some of these beliefs, and I invite you to check in to see if any of them resonate with you. So some of these examples are: money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy. It's wrong for spiritual entrepreneurs to make a lot of money. Receiving money for my spiritual gifts is wrong. If I have a lot of money, people will judge me and think differently of me. Other people can make or have lots of money, but that can't happen to me. My family has never been rich. It's selfish to want a lot of money. I have to work extremely hard in order to be successfully rich. Asking for money is hard. My spouse and I will never agree on money. How did that feel to listen to those beliefs? Did you find yourself nodding your head to some of these? And those of you who have been listening for a while, you know I always invite you to really come from a place of non-judgment, from a place of curiosity instead, and observing yourself. So if you felt like any of this resonated, this is going to be such a hugely epic episode for you to really shift. So we're going to dive in deeper to unpack some of these beliefs. So my intention today is for you to question your own beliefs with an observer hat and feel into the new possibilities around abundance and money. And to help you, I have a very special guest, my very favorite person in the whole wide world, my sexy silver fox, my very own husband, Dan Haig. We have been married for 14 years and together for a total of 18 years. And I'm going to introduce my husband more formally so you really get to feel into how incredible this human is. So Dan is an incredibly caring man, a phenomenal husband, and no, he did not pay me to say that, but that would be awesome. And an amazing dad to our very two high energy boys, a generator of community, a champion of charity, and an avid believer that health is wealth. He is a soloist finisher of the Canadian death race. I know, that sounds as awesome as it really is. Which is a 125 kilometer race up and down 3 mountains, I believe, in Grand Cache, Alberta. So that's just outside of Jasper, Alberta. And he finished it in 22 hours and 21 minutes. He is also a one-time record holder of the most amount of stairs climbed at the Great Stair Climb at Telus Tower in our local hometown of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which, just to put this into perspective for you, is a 34-story high-rise office tower consisting of, you ready for this? 716 stairs. Yes, my husband is certified crazy. He climbed this 47 times in 18 hours, meaning he ascended and descended over 67,000 stairs. He was in very interesting shape for a couple weeks after. He also just happens to be a certified financial planner, a registered retirement consultant, and a chartered insurance professional. Dan is also... He also has a business degree specializing in marketing. And his soulmate clients really focus on developing and maintaining wealth with Dan. They hire him to guide them through the complex world of finances. He helps you increase your confidence in your own financial picture, work with you to outline a solid plan to achieve your personal financial goals, and is a pillar of support, ethics, education, and expertise. He uses efficient and effective financial strategies, some not available to the general market, to ensure his clients' wealth is enhanced. So bottom line, people trust Dan to walk them through this process to help them maximize their money. And you guys, I have had the honor to MC a few of Dan's client events, and it's always just blows me away to watch my husband deliver his gifts to the audience with so much love and so much humor, because let's face it, financial planning isn't the most exciting topic, right? He makes it really heartfelt because that is the type of person he is. And together, Dan and I have a mission to inspire others, whether you're single or in a relationship, to have a sexy, soulful relationship with money by bringing soul and strategy and effective communication. We call ourselves Pleasure in the Bedroom and Bank, because really, we inspire you to have more orgasms, moneygasms, and soulgasms in your life and business. So for those of you who don't know, I was a former registered psychologist with a master's in marriage and family therapy. So I have lots of experience in working with couples from an emotional and psychological standpoint, and really understand the core of family systems. And Dan also, of course, has tons of experience working with couples from a money perspective. So we are going to get really juicy with you so that you can receive energetic and practical insights into shifting your relationship with money. Yes, you can have both, energetic and practical. We feel honored that people often look up to us as role models to aspire to as a power couple. We certainly intend to deliver some powerful downloads for you to receive. So without further ado, let's welcome my sexy silver fox, Dan Haig. Hey, babe. Thanks so much for coming to jam with me today.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much for that incredible introduction. I wish that could happen on a daily basis. So,
well, we could make that happen.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in.
The morning kiss and maybe a little bit more isn't enough.
That's not that kind of show. We won't go there right now.
Well, it could be. It could be. So, my honey, why don't we start with, because this is really where, you know, our money beliefs start with our upbringing and our what we see in terms of how our parents talk about money, their beliefs, and that gets passed down often on a subconscious level. So let's have you share your own upbringing and how you came to have your relationship with money, and how you how you had to shift.
Sure thing, yes. So I do a regular weekly webinar about retirement planning. But what I do is the first thing I talk about is introducing who I am and my own history, because it's very pertinent to the discussion there. So I talk about my family, my mom, my dad, and my sister. And I have a bit of an interesting, unique background here. So I'll start with my dad. So my dad was actually a priest throughout his 20s. So he was a priest until he met my mom, of course. Then for about 34 years, he was a teacher of educational psychology at the University of Alberta. And he got a pension plan, so he didn't really have to think too much about money because retirement was pretty much taken care of for him. So he didn't really have any desire to learn any more than the basics. And then there was my mom. Well, my mom actually used to be a nun, believe it or not. So yes, I'm the son of a nun and a priest. So when they were in their early 30s, they met and they decided they wanted to leave the priesthood and the convent and have a family. They still maintain their religious beliefs, but they definitely wanted to have a family.
I think that's so badass. Parents were such badass.
Well, mavericks for the time, really. And my mom, when she would relate the stories, they would be all G-rated, but I'm sure it was a little bit more badass than that. But nor do I want to know about that. But
and interestingly enough, your mom's name?
Rosemarie. So very similar to Rosalind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my mom's background, well, she was born here in Canada, but her parents were actually immigrants from Germany. So not only did her parents survive the Great Depression through the dirty 30s, but also they moved to Canada during World War II. So they came to Canada not knowing 2 words of English. They were given a plot of land in probably the most inhospitable area of Canada to start a farm, and they were told to clear the land. So they didn't really know much about money. They knew about hard work, but they didn't know much about money. So my mom carried that mentality with her, the poor farm girl mentality, that money was overwhelming. She should be ignorant of it because she did not deserve wealth. I remember her saying that, I do not deserve wealth. So she came from that background. Her mindset was of overwhelm. And another interesting aspect to my family is, so my parents got married a little bit older in life, because they were a nun and a priest before. And almost to the day, 9 months after they got married, my sister was born. So yes, the son and a daughter of a nun and a priest, and my sister was born shortly after. My sister carried a mentality of money is a scam. Money is only for rich people. You should not trust people with money. Okay. And unfortunately, she passed away in August of 2012. And because of her mentality around money, she didn't want to buy any life insurance. So that left her husband and her daughter with barely anything from the financial perspective. So it crushes your heart to know that something could have been done in this situation if the mentality and the education could have been better. So I relate that to all my clients because it is pertinent to financial planning. That is my story. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is really important. So then for myself, I also had a mom who was a farm girl. My parents are both from Hong Kong. I'm first generation Chinese Canadian. And I remember just growing up, all I really heard, because my dad is still a workaholic, and he actually is an accountant. And so he was very much the person that took care of the finances. And I remember, because I was mostly at home with my mom, she was a stay-home mom, and then she ran a day home for my first early years. And she often would, I remember my dad would come home and he had made purchases, and she would freak out. And all I would hear was that on sale? And really get mad at my dad if he bought something not on sale. And so she pounded it in all of us, meaning myself and my brother and my dad, that things had to be on sale or else there was a guilt trip. At least that was my perspective on it. And so I would often feel guilty about spending money on myself. And I didn't feel like my parents ever really spoke about money in a practical way to teach us about saving properly, or, what we can buy. That money, it's not, that we don't spend things on frivolously. And so it was a lot of penny pinching kind of mentality. Now, I remember buying my first pair of jeans when I was, goodness gracious, must have been like when I was 18, maybe 17. And I was like, yay. And then I felt really guilty. They were a $20 pair of jeans. And that was the first time I really sat back and went, why do I feel so bad? Why do I feel so bad for spending money on myself? And it's not like I spent $100. I spent $20. And so I really sat with that. And then the first voice that came up in my mind was my mom's voice. Was it on sale? No, it wasn't. And I remember consciously choosing, I don't have to listen to this voice. I'm an adult. So, okay, maybe I was 18, 19. I'm an adult now. Like, I get to decide what and how I want to spend my money. And so that was the beginning of, for me, a very conscious shift in my money mindsets.
And I think for me, the shift was almost forced upon me because my mom and my dad and my sister never really thought that much about money. I had to fend for myself. And I moved out on my own, and I had to start from scratch, learn everything, DIY, do it yourself, right? That's how I made the shift. And then I eventually grew my understanding of how money works. And it's really through education and understanding that you gain power in making the right decisions.
Yeah. So I'm going to invite you, as we head into commercial soon, on what your money beliefs are, and think about the story or the memory that really comes up as you think about, where did that belief come from? What's the thing that really holds you back from really stepping into a belief that really serves and supports you?
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
When you wake up in the morning, are you excited for the new day? Are you passionate about your work? Are your relationships fulfilling? And finally, are you happy? I'm Mia Voce, your host and guide to the power of 5. Harness the forces of the universe and unleash your powers within. Join me each Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on OMTimes Radio. And remember, anything is possible. You only just have to believe.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back. I hope that you had some time to reflect on your limiting beliefs around money and perhaps where that derived from for you. And if not, no worries. I really do encourage you to take the time, because really 3 minutes isn't long enough. This is an exercise that is deeply important because, as you know, I always preach about, in order for us to create shifts, we need to be aware of what it is that is actually holding us back. So in this case, what are the money beliefs that are holding you back and keeping you at the frequency that you're at now? Your reality with your finances are an energetic match right? And that energetic match comes from your subconscious beliefs. So it's really important if you want to step into the energy of soulful, sexy abundance. It absolutely is critical to do the inner work around money. So one thing, we are weaving in money and relationship today. Relationship with not just yourself, but also with your partner. Okay. And we are going to really touch on business as well, but I will be doing future episodes around money and business more heavily. Right now, I really want to focus on your personal finances, and particularly if you're in a romantic relationship, how that looks, a committed romantic relationship. Okay. So what happens when you fundamentally disagree with your partner about your money philosophies? How do you then deal with that? That's a very common question that I often saw in therapy and when I was a therapist, and that Dan deals with. So, honey, why don't I invite you to step in here and just talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So an additional part of this is actually talking about compromising. Is it, a good idea to compromise? And I actually fundamentally disagree with the idea of compromising in a relationship, because that does not turn into a win-win outcome. That's actually a lose-lose outcome when you're both not getting what you want. So to me, avoiding a compromise means fully understanding your history and your background regarding it, and understanding the perspective you're coming from. Now, I'll give you an example. It was interesting. We were over at Rosalind's parents' place, and we were talking to her dad, and they were talking about, her brother wanted a glass of wine, but they were deciding, should we open another bottle? And Roz took it from the perspective that so her dad didn't want to open another bottle. Roz took it from the perspective that this was disrespectful to her brother, because it's saying, it meant that he's not worth a whole bottle of wine. He wouldn't drink a whole bottle of wine, but he's not worth to open a bottle of wine just for one person. However, Roz's dad took it from the practicality perspective that, if you open a bottle of wine, he's not going to drink the whole thing. He's going to have a portion of it, now that the rest of the bottle is going to be ruined at some point, because they're not big wine drinkers. So understanding that and both Roz and her dad were coming at it, they were adamant in their own perspective.
Yeah, let's just be real here. There was it was not this smooth. I was totally stepping in and standing up for my brother, and I'm like, Dad, what is going on? That is so disrespectful.
I call it a discussion. Roz was fired up. Let's be honest here. It was an argument. Yeah.
Family dynamics.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I was kind of watching this, and I was observing as a third party, and I agreed with both of them. And you can agree with both people from the practicality perspective of not wanting to waste wine, but also from the human perspective of you don't want to disrespect a family member, right? So, and just making sure that both people, before, fisticuffs start occurring, right? Just make sure that both people are not talking about the exact same thing. So they can argue as much as they can, but they're not on the same level, right?
We're not on the same page. And this is why it's important to have a third party. So that was awesome. My husband was pretty neutral in this situation, because I couldn't... my dad wasn't even explaining it.
No.
He wasn't saying, this is my approach. It's a practical approach.
Because he was sure he was right. And Roz was sure that she was right. So why do you need to explain yourself, right? And they're repeating the same arguments over and over. It was getting nowhere. So.
Definitely was not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, so we can bring it back to couples. So I want you to think about if you are discussing money or arguing about money with your partner, really a huge part of this, and I'm going to bring in my psychologist background, is that it's really important to understand where the other person's coming from. Understanding, holding space, being that listener, active listening, not listening with judgment, not listening to argue, because most of us do that, right? But listening, just cleanly listening and going, okay, let me understand. Let me be curious about what their belief system is here. What is driving them to really have this perspective? And again, not from a place of, I'm going to really come up with all these ways to argue that they are wrong and I'm right. Because as soon as I think that's a really big hint. As soon as you're in that energy and mindset, it is time to take a breather. It is time to take a break and regroup yourselves. So this is really about understanding what is your belief system or stuff, if we want to call it that way, and what's my stuff, and how do we not let it collide, but rather come into a perspective that we both share. Because in the bigger picture, both of you want to have an incredible, successful relationship with money. And so this comes back down to the basics of let's really vision out. Let's create a vision for ourselves and let's see where our visions are, and so all of a sudden this takes it away from money and looks and zooms out into the bigger picture. What are our values? What do we see for ourselves in the future? And I'll speak about how Dan and I actually implement this, and Dan can speak about how he actually implements this. We can both speak about how we implement it on a business level.
Yeah, from a professional perspective. Yeah.
Yes. So I believe that if your visions as a couple are not matching, I think we got bigger problems there, right? Like, why are you together if you don't share the same values or they don't overlap? And then it's really looking at that, like, what is it about your relationship that you're not on the same page? Now, I understand that we have different dreams, but as a couple, it's looking at what are our couple goals? What do we want for our relationship? And what's that look like as we move forward? In fact, in a little bit here, we're going to talk about the 5 stages of relationship. But when it comes to visioning, what that looks like from my spiritual, energetic, perspective is creating a vision board and really, or journaling and getting really clear about what it is that feels like, looks like, and it's about embodying that no matter how crazy it sounds. In fact, Dan and I as a couple, we in our bedroom have a whole wall where it's chalkboard paint, and we have separated out into different areas of our life. So not just our relationship, and our finances, spirituality, family,
yes.
Health,
health
goals. And so we literally month by month revisit this vision board.
And she calls me out on it when I try to avoid it too. So
yeah. So what does that look like in business when we're working with our clients and having them vision out?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Part of my process when I first meet with a new couple is I go through something called the goals and concerns, which is the human aspect, which I think is the most important part of the financial planning process. All the charts and graphs and abbreviations and everything, they don't matter if you're not achieving your goals, your human goals of getting your kids through college, of retiring with comfort, all those soft goals, right? And 95% of the time when I go through this process with my clients, the husband's peeking at the wives and the wives is peeking back at the husbands. What does this mean? This means they haven't done this process together. Money is a core component to a relationship, and people avoid it, right? They don't talk about what their goals are until they come to a financial planner or, they have an enlightened discussion about it. So it's fascinating. I joke with people that a lot of people would rather spend more time planning their 1-week trip to Mexico than they would the rest of their financial future, because it's a topic people want to avoid for the most part. Right?
And we get it. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. We already got you to look at what your beliefs around money are, where they came from. So the beautiful thing is, it's about, if you're uncomfortable, if you're contracting your body, you feel constriction, you want to avoid, you want to resist, that's beautiful for you to know this is an opportunity for you to stretch, for you to grow in, because on the other side of resistance and fear is abundance. I promise you, it's not easy, and it's so worth it. It's so worth it to do the inner work. Because as you shift, it becomes your new normal. The new beliefs become your new normal.
I agree completely. People tend to avoid what they don't understand, and they're fearful of it. So they retract, or they go into, they don't make a decision. They stall, right? So yes, coming together, understanding your partner, understanding the practical aspects of how to implement a path towards your goals is key in embracing it and making it a fun part of your relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Rosalind and I love talking about money. It's fun.
We get really lit up. We get real turned on.
We embrace it, yeah.
And, I also saw a lot of infidelity, financial infidelity.
As do I too. I see that as well.
When I was a therapist. And that is, what does that mean? That means both spouses or one spouse is hiding. It's like an affair with money. They're hiding how they're using money.
Secret bank accounts, hidden credit cards, whatever the case is, lying about how much money they're spending on shoes or golf trips. I've seen those.
Yeah. And so can you imagine what that actually symbolizes in the relationship? There's a huge fear to be vulnerable with each other, to be truthful with each other. We lie to ourselves. We lie to our partners. And so this is about a true high vibrational, expansive relationship involves doing the hard shit, and it involves speaking the stuff that you think your partner's going to reject you on. It's going to feel risky. They might disapprove, and you don't want to be rejected. And we can think about that at the very core of us. We want to feel loved, safe, and belong. So we're going to go into our own patterns that help us keep feeling loved, safe, and belong. Keep feeling okay in the relationship, when underneath the truth is things aren't okay and you haven't spoken. So as we're speaking, I hope that this is really making you think, are you being truthful? And what is it about you that's scared to say what you really want to say to your partner? What is it about your partner? Maybe it's your fear. Often it's the fear, our assumptions that our partner is going to yell at us, leave us, be somewhat emotionally reactive in the way that doesn't make us feel safe. So again, then it comes back down to creating the safety in a relationship. And this is so much deeper than just money itself, right? Because how you show up in one part of your life is how you do all parts of your life. And money is just one of the doorways in to explore how vulnerable can you get with your partner, because that's where the real sexy, juicy, soulful, raw beauty of a relationship really lies. And so coming back to visioning, this is then taking it into practical action steps. So of course, Dan, being a financial planner, we look at our finances. We do something called money dates, where we create a sexy environment. So sometimes we're doing it on our bed. I mean, the money dates might end up to other things after. And we have candles or essential oils being diffused. We have chill, sexy music going on.
The kids are in bed.
Yeah. And there's no distractions. It's just us. We literally create an environment where it's sexy and it feels safe and it feels like, let's get into that mood. And we both aren't really drinkers, I like to have my kombucha in a wine glass. And I would recommend not doing this with alcohol because that's another form to really numb a bit, even if it's just a little bit. But if you feel like you can handle it, maybe just have a glass, right? Just go relax you a little bit, as long as you're staying present to the experience. And so we'll go through our credit card statements, we'll go through our goals, we'll go through the investments, we'll go through, again, envisioning and revisiting, hey, how has it been going? How much are we spending this month? And what are we mostly spending it on? Because here's the thing, I want you to go also to look at your credit card statements and look at, where are you spending your money on? Are you spending most of your money on working towards your dream, investing back into whatever is aligned for your dreams in your life and your business? Because here's the truth, most people are not. Where are you finding most people spend their money, honey?
Oh, on spur of the moment fun stuff, right? There's a big discrepancy between where people think they're spending their money and where they actually spend their money. So it's interesting. I advise my clients for a whole month, keep every single receipt, whether you spend $2 on a cup of coffee or $100 on a dinner out or whatever the case is, and then look back at where your money's actually going versus where you thought it was going. And that's how you can identify what's really important to you. You can tell yourself what's important, but where are you actually putting your money?
Yes. And so from here, then we get to tweak. In fact, right before COVID, before we even know it was going to happen, we said, okay, we're going to really watch our budget around eating out, because we'd been eating out quite a bit, even though we're pretty good with how we go into relationship with money. And we were really noticing, okay, we're actually spending a little bit too much on food. So we were going to scale that back, and we actually made that happen. And then COVID happened, and
we were kind of forced into it, right? But
it is really setting an intention and then taking aligned action. So as we go into commercial, I'm going to invite you to really reflect on, what is your biggest money goal right now? Where do you want to, what is that monthly income goal or yearly goal? And then think about, where are you spending most of your money? Is it aligned with you taking action towards your goals?
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, my loves. I know this is a really juicy episode, and it may be a very challenging episode for you as well, and that's okay. So congratulations if you're still listening to this, because I know that money is one of the hardest things to talk about, to think about, to reflect on. And like I was saying before commercial, it is so rewarding when you release these limiting beliefs and really step into your abundance power. So how was that for you? Just reflecting on what your money goals are and thinking about where you're actually putting your money. If you had a chance to do that, if not, again, that's going to be your homework that I would recommend. Okay. And you know, when it comes to your relationship, when do we start talking about money? I want to just share the 5 stages of relationship. And I don't think that there's any right or wrong when you start to bring in money, because we're always in relationship with money. If you think about it, we're always in relationship with money. And so how is it that you want to go into your relationship with money? So when I'm talking about the 5 stages of relationship, I'm talking about our intimate romantic partnerships. So the first stage is, as most people know it to be, the honeymoon stage, right? This is where you're like, ooh, I'm in love, I'm infatuated with this person. And then stage 2 comes usually within after 3 months. And this is the power struggle stage. I like to call this the can I fart in front of you stage. Are we going to make it if you start to see some of my not so sexy habits?
She would have been long gone a long time ago if that was a thing for me. So just saying.
I think you were the first one to fart in front of me, because on our second date, we went for a run and you farted.
Well, I still made it. So
the third stage, if you make it through the power struggle stage and you start to accept your partner, the rose-colored glasses come off, and it's like, all right, this person is a human. There's parts of them that kind of annoy, but I see their good parts, their sexy parts, more than I'm okay to tolerate the other parts, right? So then you move into stage 3, which is this stability stage. And this is where you get comfortable with each other. It's like, all right, yeah, we're in the groove. And then stage 4 is the commitment stage. Now, for a lot of couples, this can feel like boredom. So this is actually the stage where affairs start to happen. All right, so pay attention. If you're starting to feel bored in your relationship, but you know you deeply love each other, it's time to mix things up in a way that brings you both closer together, because stage 5 is really fucking exciting. And that's the bliss co-creation stage, which I truly believe that Dan and I are at. And we are here right now with pleasure in the bedroom and banks in this global energetic container where the world can listen to us speak.
Yeah, this was part of our discussions we've had over the past few years. We wanted to co-create something beyond just us as 2 individuals or as a couple. We wanted to create something to put out to the world. Yes. So this is a manifestation of that.
Absolutely, yeah. And the thing is, you can cycle back and forth between all these cycles. Okay, so it's really being clear about where you're at and how to tweak things so that you are continuing to grow together. And really, the boredom is we need to dig deeper into the juicy. This is about getting even more vulnerable, doing things together, really co-creating so that you create that yummy, soulful, delicious, sexy vibes between the both of you, even after 18 years. Honestly, you guys, I still look at my husband and I am not just saying this, but he turns me on more than when I first met him. So I just love growing old with you, my love. I hope you guys aren't making it, barf sounds.
pretty cheesy here, but I love it too. Yeah.
So we also have 2 young boys. Everest, at this time of recording, is 8, and Logan is 6. And those are mountain names. Logan is the highest mountain in Canada. And so we love hiking, we love nature, and our boys are very energetic. Now, because Dan and I are very open to speaking about money in front of our kids, I think that's really important. That's what both of us didn't really get to see, in a way where their parents get to speak about money so freely, so abundantly, so also practically.
Yeah, it's not a taboo topic in our house, that's for sure.
No, and all of us form our core beliefs, whether they serve and support us to this day or limit us now, before the age of 8. So I get really excited when I see my kids being so excited about money. We're always thinking about ways to grow our money and to really magnetize more money. Our kids actually recently, I think it was even last week, they set out a
popsicle stand.
That's right. And they're already little businessmen in the making. You want to share that little experience?
It was hilarious. I call them the Haig and Haig Brothers Popsicle Stand Incorporated. So Evie, our 8-year-old, he's really focused on processes. So I called him the business operations manager. And Logan is very personable. He loves interacting with people. So he's a chief marketing officer. So together they combined their skills, and they were able to earn some money for whatever purchase of the week they've got in mind here. So it was pretty cute.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And recently, they were also really interested in purchasing an electric scooter. And they pooled together their money. Now, we have taught our kids to have money jars. So they have the money jar of fun money, where they can spend, like if we go to local 7-Eleven, they get to spend money on that. They also have like a long-term jar, and then they have a contribution jar. So they understand that money also is about giving back as well. And the more we have, the more we can give back. And so they pool together the money from their certain jars. And this electric scooter is not cheap. Like, it is $350 or something like that. I was like, what? All right. So I'm watching my 8-year-old really manifest. He's a power manifester, and he's researching about the different kinds and types of electric scooters, and he finds some on I think it was Facebook Market or Kijiji, and he ended up coming home with not 1, but 3 electric scooters, different speeds, for the same price as a brand new one. And one of the scooters were actually the one he wanted in the first place. So I was like, wow, that is pretty powerful. And so this is why, for those of you who are couples and are parents, that it's important to do your inner work around money. It's important to have expansive conversations around money, and don't be afraid to have conversations around your kids about money. In fact, I truly believe it's a sacred responsibility to do so.
Yeah, one of the biggest complaints that I hear, not only from clients or from people in general, is they don't teach money in school, right? Mm-hmm. And in a lot of households, like I mentioned, taboo, you don't talk about money at home either. So we're free with it, and our especially our 8-year-old has really embraced understanding the energy that money provides, because not just paper and coins, it's energy.
Yes. And so we know there's going to be future episodes more on this, because I imagine that there's going to be lots of people wanting to know more about money practices and how to do that in your business and how to do that in your romantic relationships. So I know we're just barely scratching the surface. So we do also want to leave you with some practical strategies. All right. So remembering to vision out. Write down your big vision for yourself. What are your money goals that are going to be aligned with your big vision dream? Then when it comes to the practical strategies around money. Make sure you track your money expenses and in business, your revenue. Okay. So Dan, I think you wanted to chip in a bit here.
Yeah. So basically it's your money coming in is your revenue, your money going out is your expenses. And you know, people ask me, well, I want the best investment. And I just wanted to say that, you know, the best investment is in yourself. And to use a practical example, we all know Amazon is, I think, the biggest company in the world right now. Well, for the first, let's say 15 years of its existence, they did not show a profit because they invested every bit of extra money back into advertising, because the best investment that they could have made was back into themselves. And look at them now. Jeff Bezos, the owner, is the richest man in the world. Right. So when we talk about people jumping into business for themselves, I tell them, don't expect to make a profit in the first 2 years. If you invest back into yourself, your future will multiply.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm in year 3.5. I made 6 figures my first year, and 90% of that went back into my business or my personal development. And it's doubled. And then it's like now I'm making multiple 5-figure months consistently. Okay. So it does take time. Have patience. So, like we're saying, you know, practical action steps, keep investing in yourself, keep investing, doing the money work, and have, those of you who are in partnerships, have effective communication with your spouse. Don't be afraid to go see a coach. Dan and I continue to see our coach for making sure we're both visioning out on the same page, mostly about our bigger picture and what we see for ourselves, and understanding ourselves on a deeper level in a way that, you know, we couldn't pull out without that coach. So it's really powerful to have a coach.
You got to keep sharpening the pencil there.
That's right. That's right. So we hope that this was a powerful episode. I know there was a lot for you to reflect on. Download this episode, re-listen to it, take lots of notes, and keep reflecting back on a regular basis. You will see growth as you continue to do your work.
And tell us if you want some more too.
Yeah. Of course they do, honey. I don't think that's a question. I know it. So, my loves, as usual, I'm going to leave you with this one's going to be a money meditation activation with a light language transmission. So I invite you to just really breathe in, clear your mind, breathe out anything that doesn't serve or support, and keep breathing deeply. Breathe into your heart space. And then breathe out, taking a little bit longer on the exhale. And I'm going to offer you these affirmations. Abundance is your birthright. Money is safe. It is safe to monetize on your spiritual gifts. The more money you have, the more good you can do with it in the world. It is spiritual to be wealthy. I trust myself to make good decisions with money. I am rich. My partner and I are on the same energetic frequency with money. My partner and I trust each other to make solid decisions with money. Para kora tikara tu, kara tikara oh, kara tikara tu, kia, para tikara tu, para kara tikara tu, para kara tikara tu. Money coming in, money flowing to you. Para tikara tu, kia, para kitu, money flowing through you. Para kara tikara ta. Money flowing to and through you, and contacting those that will receive your abundance so that the planet elevates. As you ascend your relationship with money, you ascend the collective. More people put money towards heart-driven businesses. It is safe for you to have lots of money. It is safe for you to monetize on your spiritual gifts. The more money you have, the more good you can do with it. It is safe to have money conversations with your partner. It is safe for you to have money conversations with your client. Money is energy. Money is love. Anchor, anchor, anchor. Breathing all of this in. Breathing out anything that didn't serve or support, any contraction, any resistance. Breathing in love. Breathing out love. I'm just really hanging out with your experience. Hanging out with this sensation, this elevation, possibilities, all the opportunities that are opening up to you that bring you even more abundance in many different forms. And my love, if you are feeling really inspired, you want to learn more, you want to dive in deeper to really embrace an abundant energy with money, come and play in my free Facebook group, Magnetize and Monetize, for coaches, healers, and entrepreneurs with Rosalind Fung, where every Monday is Money Mindset Monday. I'm coaching you on the energetics and the practical strategies about money and money in your business. And so always it's a personal spiritual foundation with a business focus. I'll see you in there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Until next time.